Today I'm going to show you a card using the Tropical Chic stamp set and dies, which we do know we'll be carrying over into the new catalog when it comes out in June. And the reason I'm using it is this card is what I'm going to do for my swap for our version of Onstage. Some of us in Indiana are hosting an event the same day as Onstage here in Indianapolis, and we're calling it In Stage for Indiana. There just weren't any close to us. This is the first Onstage, and it makes me really sad, especially because the new catalog will come out, to miss it. It's the first one I've missed in several years. Went to Orlando, often go to Salt Lake. Usually there's one in Atlanta, which we can get cheaper flights to Atlanta. There were no cheap flights to any of the ones, and the closest drive was like 11 hours. So for a one-day event, it just didn't make any kind of business sense. It would have made fun girlfriend sense, but it just wasn't feasible. So there were a ton of us that went to Orlando, so we were really hoping that we could build on that momentum and go again. But so instead we decided to build our own momentum. So this is the swap that I am doing for our event. So we're really looking forward to it. It's a little bit more work when you host the event than it is to just rock up to one, although I don't have to pack. So, I got that going for me. But I'm going to use Tropical Chic, and it's a really fun stamp set. I haven't pulled it out since last summer. And spring is springing here in the Midwest, so that's kind of fun. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, if you are a demonstrator and you do swaps, you can see I've got some of them going here. I was getting close to not being, well, they're getting close. When you work on swaps, if you're not a demonstrator, swaps are when we make a lot of one design, and then when you get to the event, you trade. So we used to call them trades, we call them swaps, we call them multiples of things. But it would be the same thing if you're working on Christmas cards. Anytime that you're making a multiple of one card, these are some quick ways to do it. So I'm going to actually do two. I realized as I was getting ready to do one more little swatch of them that I should probably, because I hated to be done and then have I think those are on the wrong color. Yes, they were. Have them all done and then have to film and then have a couple of extras more than I needed. So for our in-stage event, we are also hosting for girls that couldn't make it, because we have a lot of girls in our Facebook group that are not local to us. So we wanted to be able to do this event so they could watch online and then have the projects at home. So we called that home stage, and we didn't want them to have all the colors. So for our event, we chose the new colors. I think it's called new and returning colors, and those are just a little packet of colors that you can get in the catalog. They'll be gone because they won't, when the new catalog comes out, of course they won't be new anymore. It's hard to believe it's been a year since we were in Atlanta and we saw the new colors. So this is a new color. Actually, I think Seafoam. I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long. So those are what we are using for our home stage projects. And so since I'm one of the presenters, I'm just using it for my swaps as well. So I've taken what is my fullest stamp, and this is shimmer white cardstock, and I filled up the fullest, like I filled as much as I could, and I went off the edges. These are cut 4 and 5 1/4, and I have cut all of my shimmer white cardstock that I need. For this event, we know how many people are swapping, so I have cut that many pieces. And I had started, and then that was why I needed a few more. So move that out of the way. I guess I'll just put it back. There are a couple of steps that I'm not going to be able to show you because they're part of my classes. And those are surprises for the girls, and we want them to be able to take it home and be able to use it with their customers. This is mint, and then this is the second kind of largest. So when you do it, kind of turn them around. And when you give cards to anybody, obviously you want it to be your best work. And same when you trade. You don't want to give somebody a card with your name on it that has less than perfect stamping on it. And so when you're doing a lot, like if you go to a Stampin' Up event, you may decide that you want to make 100 or 200 cards. That's a lot. I don't normally do that many, but some people do. Some people do way more than that. So, you know, sometimes it's tempting as you stamp and you make a little blubber to think, oh, that's not too bad, but nobody wants that to be the card. So here you can see that I made a tiny little boo-boo. So I often design cards where it's easy to cover those up, and I'll show you what I mean. Because I don't want to have to keep throwing out cards, because you know when you're stamping, especially multiples, so I had more than one way to cover mine up. One of the ways you're not going to be able to see, because it's one of the new things that I came up with to teach it in stage. I'm doing a class on big shots. So really part of my thing has absolutely nothing to do with big shot, but it's part of the card that they're making. And then this is shaded spruce. This actually could be a great guy card. So with my shaded spruce, any place where I stamped less than perfect on the first two, because this one's easy. See my little mess up? Just go right over the top and it's gone. So just design something where it's easy to cover it up. When you have one word on there and your words are part of your major design, you increase the chances of messing up. So when I put words on my trades, I add them to the card. That way my backgrounds can all just be beautiful and the words can be added. Because a lot of times that's where, you know, our less than perfect stamping, if you rock it or anything, that's when it can appear. And it's way noticeable because everybody's eye is drawn to your words. So there's my background. Just like that. So then I'm going to go to one of the other colors in the new colors was the gray granite. And here's some of my offcuts of shimmer white that I just saved these. And for this card, it happened to be just perfect. So I'm going to take my gray granite. And when I'm doing trades, especially if I was doing them for the real on stage and I was doing a ton of them, I often don't use the big shot to cut. I am going to use it on this card, but I figured out a way to use it where I can get, I used this copper cord where I trimmed it from my other cards. It's still all over the table. So there's the gray granite. And the gray granite, I love. This is probably my favorite new color. It's gray, but it has a tinge of brown. And then I'm going to go with black. Because when we did our little rules, it was the new colors and then black. Because everybody needs black. So see, now if I mess up on my words, it doesn't matter because I've just messed up one of these and they're on scrap paper. And this is just, like I said, scrap shimmer white that I have saved over time for such a time as this. And so it's cut straight because it's cut from when I did a project for something else, probably at camp. But I'm not going to use a paper cutter because sometimes you just don't need a paper cutter. Because when it's just this much paper and all this, it's good. That's way crooked though, because I'm talking, you know, just cut straight. And these lines on here aren't even straight. So just trim these. And then as you use each individual one and you go to mount it on the card, if they look super crooked, then you can fix it. That one's kind of crooked. And it's partly because I am not looking straight because I have it so you guys can see it. And I don't want a lot of extra white because I want my pretty background to show. So now I've got these. I have some more extra shimmer white. I just went through, someday I'll show you the little accordion from the Container Store that I keep all of my scraps in. So then I have soft sea foam and I have a bunch of these pre-cut because I've only mounted a couple of them so far. So I'll get two since I'm making two cards for you right now. But if I was doing these, actually if I was really doing these, the reason they're not done is I'm probably going to give them to my husband tonight while he's watching TV and say, can you fold all these in half? Because he likes to do stuff like that. Me, not so much. So I'll get these out of the way. So there's two. Then I have some copper and a punch because punches are fast. And again, this is just some scrap, and I would, if I was doing a lot, I would go through my scrap bin where I keep all my smaller offcuts again. But for this, because I don't need a humongous amount, that piece will be good. Okay, now I'm going to take them and I am going to put them in my Big Shot, and this is how I can use my Big Shot for trades and not be big shotting forever. So I'm going to lay all of these in here, as many as I can, in one pass. And they can go whichever direction. I just don't want them crooked because the lines, you know, on this go straight. But I can get a lot of them in here. I could even get one more. So if I was really doing them, I would have punched out a ton of these and I could fill the whole thing up. So now, one pass of the Big Shot for your swaps, or if you're doing Christmas cards, or if you're doing wedding invitations, or shower invitations, or baby announcements. You know, there's a lot of times when we stamp more than one thing. If you're doing something for your downline, if you're doing graduation cards, you know, you don't always have to do everything one at a time. So if you know you're going to do a project, as you design it, think of ways that you can get the most bang for your buck as far as time. So leave those there. And then I have this little tray, and this is one of the steps you're not going to get to see. But I have all these that I have watercolored with a new way. A totally new way to me. I don't know. I haven't looked on the internet because I wanted something that I came up with. So I watercolored them on shimmer paper, a super, super fast way. And these are the dies that come with this bundle. And you can see I already have some of these here for my first original pass. So I'll just put all these back in here. And this is nice too, because if you like to watch TV, my guilty pleasure is The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, which is now over, but it's Monday night. So if, you know, if it was wintertime and I was watching The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and today's Monday, I could have all this ready, and then I could take it downstairs as I watch TV to do this next part. So I need 2 of these because I'm doing 2. So let's get, so what I did was I made, this reminds me, if you've been to Disney in Orlando, it reminds me of the hotel where the day we arrive, we always go get, if it's a day where we don't have enough time to go to a park, like after we check into our hotel, we go over to the Polynesian. So see, it didn't matter how I cut those because I'm just going to trim these down because I want to be able to see the copper in my design, not so much this. But the Polynesian hotel, and we go get Dole Whip. And these little things just remind me of that hotel. The little shape, like this, to me, looks like the shapes that they have there. And obviously all the design of this stamp set looks like it. So if you have stayed at the Polynesian, or if you've gone to have Dole Whip, this would be a perfect little scrapbooking thing. And that's where our last onstage was, so this is kind of an ode to both. So now, when I actually do these, I'm going to make all of my little medallions at once. But for this, I'm just going to show you. So just a little bit of that. I will have all of these already cut out. And at some point after all the girls have had time to go home and do a class using this new technique, I will put it on my YouTube how I did that. Because this last part, I'm also not going to be able to show you because it uses the same method. So I'm just going to show you my finished card. This time next week, well, Tuesday, we will have some new catalog stuff because even though I'm not going to on stage, one of my girlfriends is. She doesn't live in Indiana, so she had one that was closer to her, and she's flying from Indiana to here and having her stuff sent here so we can play with it. So I will have a catalog unboxing video for you to see of new stuff, which is always super fun, especially super fun because I have not seen it. So this is the copper thread and the vanilla twine. Because when we design these this time of year, I went with a stamp set that I knew was going to be available. And then the linen thread, you could take off the card if they want to do this class in the summer because it's obviously a summer card. So we usually have twine that carries over. So even if the vanilla doesn't, you could change this to be any ribbon. The thread, the linen thread is just so, it's a really pretty accent, but you could take it off. So if we lose the thread, it's not a huge loss to my card. I'm hoping that the punch stays because I think it's a new one. I think it was new last year. This time of year, it's all just a gamble. So just one knot because it's a trade, and I also kind of designed it to be a guy's card. And I'll do this one. So if I was doing these for real, I would mount all these on and then tie all of my strings on. But for you, I'm going to show you this. So, and then tie those on. So you have this, and then I would tie them all on, and then after I was done tying them, I would go back and trim these. So I do all of my steps at once. And then once those are all done, mount them on here. And then I have my one last flub up, which is also one of the things I can't show you. I will show you later. But here on this card, there's a tiny little, it's not even really noticeable, but as one thing I just wanted to add to the card, here's one of my finished ones. So you can see these little hints of ink. I used the same thing that I did to make my leaves. So if you're coming to InStage, you'll get to see how to do that. If you didn't come to InStage and you're a demonstrator, we're going to have another one in the fall. It won't be the same weekend as On Stage because we're hoping that next time in November we can go, but that's too close to Thanksgiving. And we're going to hope to do one. If you are a demonstrator, you can come to Indiana and do it, or you can do our online version. It'll hopefully be we may have a date for you soon, but hopefully around the time the holiday catalog comes out to give you lots of ideas to get you going on the holiday catalog. So that's my trades. So I hope you like those. They'll be super fun, and because I'm able to use all of these, and when you run these through, they punch out 2 at a time. So this stamp set, if you are doing something, if you're going to do a party invitation for the summer, I highly recommend it because you get a whole lot of things run through your big shot at once. So there's my trade. Hope you enjoy it. We will have a couple of other fun things for you to see. If you are a demonstrator, go over to Creating and Sharing the Life You Love on Facebook, and that's our demonstrator group. If you are not a demonstrator, we do have a public page, and we post from there occasionally, also do our lives maybe once a month from there, and it is called @FriendsToStamp, which will get you there on Facebook. So do the @ symbol @FriendsToStamp, and you can find us there. Have a great day. Bye.